Get ready for full tilt pro bass action. Winning tips and techniques. Inside info and tournament strategies to make you a better bass angler. Big fish, hot sticks, and serious money on the line. This is the 2003 Gander Mountain Pro-Am Invitational Bass Tour. Brought to you by Columbia Sportswear, Triton Boats, and Mercury Marine. Now, let's let her rip. The fabled Whitefish chain of lakes in the heart of Minnesota's North Woods was born in 1884 when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers built an unassuming wooden dam on the Pine River at the site of Cross Lake. Here, the straining waters of the Pine rose, swallowing the lowlands and joining more than a dozen once solitary lakes along its course. For a bass angler, the Whitefish can be an intimidating challenge. More than 13,000 acres, 120 miles of shoreline, and each of the individual lakes is unique, presenting its own set of conditions, fish populations, and presentation options. In late spring, the largemouth are moving away from spawning grounds and setting up on their summer haunts. Big post-spawn females begin moving deep this time of year, leaving the smaller males to guard the shallow beds. It's a predictable and very fishable pattern. On the Whitefish, though, it's not that simple.
Well, about a 14-inch fish there. We got a lot of those. Today, the challenge is not so much in finding fish, but finding the bigger fish that are really going to count at the weigh-in time.
The chain's very diversity complicates the formula. Some lakes are shallow, dark, and muddy. Others are deep and crystal clear. The spawn may be much further along in some places than in others, which in turn dictates the location and activity level of the fish.
You know, Whitefish being as big a lake it is, one of the keys is a lot of these fish are in different stages. You go on some of the smaller lakes on the north end, and they may be in post-spawn. You go to some other different lakes, and kind of just trying to find different stages of fish and find the most active fish. Water temperatures are going to differ, water clarity differs, and there's so much different water that you just got to kind of find the water you can find the most active and biggest fish in.
In essence, the bass could be virtually anywhere, and the Whitefish chain is a pretty big anywhere to cover in a one-day tournament. And then there's the traffic. As one of Minnesota's premier tourist destinations, the Whitefish is teeming with recreational boaters. Thousands of speedboats and jet skis and pontoons and cruisers literally swarm the chain, kicking up a crisscrossing chaos of wave action. Not to mention, navigating from point A to point B can take hours, depending on your position in the long parade of boats idling slowly through the many posted no-wake zones. So what's it going to take to win this one? Versatility. You've got shallow slop and deep water humps, brushy black backwaters and clean as a whistle sand. You've got emerging offshore weed lines and vast cabbage-covered flats. Spawning spots and summer spots and all the spots in between. And you've got docks. Docks as far as the eye can see.
I really like fishing docks, especially if it's calm and sunny like this. This is a perfect dock condition. The bass tend to hide under the docks for shade, and if there was a little bit of wind now or a lot of bit of wind, they would start to move out. But right now is a perfect condition for dock fishing.
Expect anglers to be packing the whole garage, rods rigged and ready for anything, and all the tackle boxes. Here on the Whitefish, the guy with the deepest bag of tricks, plus the skill and savvy to pull them out at the right time, is the guy to beat. How will they do? Stick around and find out as we present the second round of the 2003 Gander Mountain Pro-Am Bass Tour.
If you can pull a 3-pound average, you're going to be hard to beat.
The pre-fishing stage will be a real challenge on the Whitefish. Shallow, deep, dark water, clear water, flats, channels, weed lines, and docks. The winning stringer could come from anywhere in the complex amalgam of the Whitefish chain, or everywhere.
I don't know if there's a particular lure or anything that's going to be the key, but it's just finding that right spot where the fish are at.
Hundreds of individual bass populations in various stages of seasonal movement, distributed throughout the myriad of distinct bodies of water which make up the chain, present an imposing challenge. The fish are scattered, moving from spring to summer locations.
so far up here free fishing on whitefish, I've been pretty much just cruising shorelines, looking at fish, trying to determine what stage they are in the spawn. So far I haven't found any horses, but we're going to keep looking.
So, do you concentrate on the easier to target males, most likely still nearby the spawning areas, or go on the hunt for the larger tournament-winning females, which have probably set up in deeper water by now, but are more difficult to locate, let alone trigger, in their post-spawn doldrums? It's a crapshoot, that's for sure. Let's listen in on some of the pre-fishing strategies.
The whole trick in pre-practice is find where the majority of the fish are. That's the main lake out there. The water's still cold. Before I came into this bay, I noticed that it was 64 degrees. It's 70 back here. Now, there was a bunch of nests along that shore. You could still see them, but they all look deserted to me. Now, what that's telling me, at least at this stage in the game, is that I'm gonna have to start looking for some post-spawn fish. That means while they might not be way out in the main lake, they're gonna be somewhere between back here and there. That main lake with these cold water temperatures means that you're not gonna have a lot of weed growth out there. The weed growth, as you can see here in this dirty, warm bay, is quite prolific. You've got a lot of the lily ready and a lot of the other kinds of submergent vegetation. So I'm going to continue looking. I'm trying to set a pattern. Hopefully I can get on one.
We often hear the pros talking about search lures, especially in pre-fishing situations. They're referring to lures they can use to cover a lot of water fast, looking for pods of active fish.
Be around on tournament day.
What I like to do on this lake, though, is I like to cover a lot of water. I'll take a Rapala, get on this weed line, and just run. And when I find a fish, I stop and I search the area out. Like I said, sometimes there's a whole bunch of them, sometimes there isn't. But I like covering water on this lake.
Once they make contact, anglers will usually switch to more precise target lures, which they can cast to tight locations and work more slowly in hopes of triggering numbers of fish off a certain piece of structure.
What I'm throwing is a 3/16-ounce Western-style jig head with a Gander tube on it, and it's a real slow fall, slow presentation, light line, and we're getting, there's one right there. We're getting all different size fish.
Search lures are typically used with long casting presentations and horizontal swimming retrieves. These include spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, crankbaits, and rattlebaits, among others. This type of fast cast presentation allows anglers to comb expansive flats, long weed lines, and shorelines where fish are often scattered and moving.
I kind of like to move around a little bit, throwing a spinnerbait and crankbait. Then if I find a weed line or something, I might come around and fish it with a jig worm or go in there with a jig. So
A fast horizontal approach simply enables a fisherman to present his bait to more fish in the most efficient manner.
For the most part, what I've been doing is cruising with a fast bait like a rattle trap, just probing the shallows. This is a real good little crankbait to run over, say, 3 to 5 feet of water and find some active fish. Been using that, a husky jerk a little bit. This new DT10 is great for coming across some deep points, looking for the big fish that have finished spawning. And when I slow it down, I've been flipping a jig like this, a black blue jig, or a flipping tube.
Target lures, as the name implies, are designed for working tighter locations where fish may be grouped, such as docks, weed pockets, or specific portions of underwater structure, the spot on the spot. These lures include heavy jig and plastic combos, Texas rig worms, lizards, and craws, tube baits, and light finesse jigs with small plastic baits. Usually worked vertically and more slowly in a dragging, hopping, or jigging retrieve, this method keeps the lure in the strike zone longer and can be more effective in triggering strikes from less active fish.
All right, this morning it's cool, calm, a little bit overcast. You can see really well in the water. Now tomorrow things could change. We could get bright and sunny and windy, and that certainly would change the way the fish are laid to cover and the way that I'd approach them. Go with a faster, more horizontal bait, because the fish will be up and more active. On the other hand, we've got a cool front. They would lock in tighter to the cover, and instead of working a general area, I'd have to really focus on a very small area with the best cover such as those trees or those clumps of cabbage.
It all boils down to an angler's knowledge, experience, and skill level. He's got to understand the fish, the water, and the season. And then, once he finds fish, he's got to trigger enough bites to put the winning 8 bass in the box.
Traditionally on this body of water, for 8 fish, it's going to take somewhere near 24 pounds. Year after year, that's what it takes. So I've got to put together a pattern for catching those kind of fish.
Modern rods and reels have come a long way from the old willow branch great-granddad used down at the old fishing hole. Nowadays, there are hundreds of high-tech, highly specialized rod and reel combos designed for virtually every technique and presentation. Here's Gander Mountain's Mike Curry.
Where do we start? Surprisingly, with the vast array of equipment out there these days, choosing the right rig is easy. Just ask yourself what species you're fishing for and how you'll be fishing them. Let's talk largemouth. Working docks with the right plastics? That calls for a 6-foot, fast-action spinning rod and a medium-weight reel. This outfit gives you the maneuverability you need for working in close and responding to bites with a quick hook set. Throwing crankbaits on a deep weed line? A 7-foot medium-action casting rod with a beefy bait casting reel is perfect. The longer rod lets you cast big baits farther, and soft action acts as a shock absorber so fish can't throw the hooks. If you're just starting out, these 2 outfits would be a good choice to get your collection going. Then as you gain experience, you can pick up other specialized rigs. Every serious fisherman knows you need at least 1 rod and reel for every situation. So let's see. That's flipping and pitching and cranking and worming and jigging and rigging and rocks and docks and weeds and slop. And well, you get the picture. And oh, you'll probably need a bigger garage.
Stick around. We'll be back with all the tournament action from the Whitefish chain right after this. Early morning on Tourney Day finds Moonlight Bay calm and overcast, but stiff winds are expected to kick up shortly. As anglers prepare to blast off, many are forced to rethink their initial strategies. With no bright sun to force bass into cover, those counting on an early dock bite may have to start elsewhere. Same with the smallmouth hunters, who rely primarily on sight fishing. In subdued light, the fish will be tough to spot. Looks like the early advantage may swing to the big water flats fishermen, but the anticipated high winds and waves might blow that strategy right out of the water. At takeoff, the big motors rev up to full throttle. Brent Carlson scores early on a weed line he'd been pre-fishing. Nothing big, but under tough conditions like these, maybe popping a quick limit, then hoping to upgrade might just be the ticket. As suspected, the morning dock bite is slow. Although some anglers are eking out a few fish, is it the right strategy? They could be wasting valuable time, since the conditions aren't exactly all that docky.
I'm hoping that just a hole opens up there, give me a little bit of sun, just that it might draw some of the fish into my dock.
Right on cue, the wind has blown in on upper Whitefish. Bobbing in the waves, Michael Carter has zeroed in on a newly emerging weed line, holding some big fish.
Well, this morning on Whitefish, Eric and I are just out here bouncing around on a deep structure. It's a huge reef, and fish were balled up there a little bit. We caught 4 pretty nice ones right away, and it slowed down a little bit, so now we're just working around the reef trying to pick away at them, catch as many as we can out here before we go hit the docks like everybody else.
Brian Krause had planned to hit the docks early, but decided his odds in the overcast were better on the flats. He's camping here, holding off on the dock bite until conditions improve, and he's having some success. Keying on smallies, and despite the low light visibility, David Hardig has put some pretty good fish in the boat, but he's waiting for sunshine before hitting his best spots.
Sun to come up just a little more. I got a couple good fish on beds on the main lake yet, so we'll see what transpires.
Within sight of Hardig, Jim Severson and amateur partner Jaron Witt have a jump on a good limit, but
well, this morning, as you can see, they were going pretty good. and now it's really slowed down, so we're kind of struggling to catch a few more, but hopefully.
Moving to the docks, Brent Carlson summons up all his instincts and experience to decide on a place to start. Turns out the guy was right, as Brent is well on his way to a limit.
7 more of these.
Disappointed after finding the fish have abandoned his best pre-fishing spots, Dean Capra is forced to switch gears. Here's where versatility comes into play. It looks like Michael Carter's dock plan has been scrapped. His deep weed edge is still producing for him. Now it's a game of ounces, and in the past, the Whitefish tourney has been a mighty tight race. Finally, catching up with Ron Linder, we find he spent most of his time on upper Whitefish. Now, out on Cross, Ron's working to improve an already strong showing. Brian Krause, just now getting to his original Plan A dock bite, is slowly but surely increasing his bag weight, with a good largemouth here. Having cleaned out his smallie spots, Hardig moves into prime largemouth territory for the big finale. It's been a tough one for these guys, fighting wind, waves, and changing light conditions, not to mention figuring out the finicky fish, which haven't quite decided where they want to be. Who's going to come out on top? The dock guys? The flats guys? The largemouth or the smallmouth guys? We'll know in a minute, because it's time to hit the scales. Weigh-in time back at Moonlight Bay. Anglers are eager to find out how everyone has fared under these tough transitional conditions. As competitors bag up their fish for the scales, it looks like it'll be a close one. John Ritter is first on stage with an impressive bag.
1937.
A good score to get the ball rolling. Next is John Kopinski, just ounces shy of Ritter. Back in the line, Michael Carter bags up his bass. He's confident of a good showing as Ron Linder takes the stage.
I'm going to tell you something. You may not believe it. We pulled up to one dock and took 21 pounds off it. Ask him.
You told me you weren't on them fish yesterday.
I wasn't. I stopped on one dock and it was all over. 21 pounds.
All righty, what do you got?
2104.
Good bag. You weigh a big fish, Ronnie?
2104 for Linder. Good enough to move the veteran pro to the top of the list.
What's in the lead before you weigh those? 2104. Who's got it, Linder? Yeah. All right, that looks like a good solid bag. All right, what do you got?
2014.
Wow, right in there. Second place, is he sitting?
Yep.
Not enough to bump Linder, but a solid second place so far. Jim Hendrickson steps up next.
Ooh, look at this.
2004.
2004, just shy of the leaders, but definitely in the money. Dan Beckerman and his amateur partner Becky Smith have a good day, but the bag weight comes up short. Carl Dreyhaus is next up.
Carl, what do you got for Dreyhaus?
1946.
Oh, you're going to be in there, 1946. You got a big fish?
Meanwhile, David Hardig and Dean Capra are bagging up their fish. Both have impressive limits. Hardig with mostly smallies, Capra with all largemouth. This could be trouble for Ron Linder, who still holds the lead. Jim Severson's bunch looks good too, with what could be the bag of the day. But there's a problem.
Got one dead.
Bad luck. As only one of 4 fish that didn't make it out of 345, this is going to cost Jim some points. On stage, Severson's mixed bag weighs in at 2182 for first place.
2182.
2182. We'll put you in first.
But there will be penalty points assessed. This race is getting tighter by the minute. Only 2 guys left who could knock off Severson's lead. Dean Capra's on deck as David Hardig steps up to the plate.
Yeah, I think them smallies weigh real heavy. They all smallies?
No, I got a couple largemouth in there.
Hardig, like Severson, had put a strong smallmouth pattern together.
Dave Hardig, what do you got?
2079.
2079. Now I got 3 in a stack.
But Hardig falls short, leaving Dean Capra as the last contender for the crown.
Jim Severs has got 2182. Come on over here, Dino. Oh, whoa, we're right at that strike. We're where we need to be, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. There's one little one in there that might have cost us. I don't know. We didn't lose no fish. We had a great day. This is a great lake. The people were real friendly out there. It was a lot of fun today. We had a good day.
What do you got?
Tell me.
2163.
Jimmy's got a dead one though.
Jimmy's got a dead fish.
At the final tally, Severson's 4-ounce penalty costs him the win as Capra claims the trophy with 2163 in a real nail biter. Just 5/100ths of a pound separate first and second place. Less than an ounce, but a ton of heartbreak for Severson. It's been a great tournament. Good fish under tough conditions, including Michael Carter's 4.5-pound largemouth for Big Fish of the Day. We'll be back with Dean right after this to hear more about his winning strategy. It's no surprise that versatility played a major role in Capra's victory.
Well, I think the key to today's victory was being versatile. I started out on some shallow fish and the water temperature had dropped considerably. I'm talking 5 or 6 degrees, and where I went to the fish that I thought I could catch big ones shallow, they weren't there. So I got out a Thunderbolt with a power worm, started fishing a little bit deeper in the cabbage. I found some big ones, put together a good stringer, and that's what it took, being a little bit more versatile than the other guys.
Congratulations to Dean on a great win, and to all the other anglers who gave him a real run for the money. Don't forget to tune in next week for more exciting pro competition on Minnesota's Big Bass Mecca, Lake Minnetonka. Until then, we'd like to thank the following sponsors: Columbia Sportswear, Triton Boats, Mercury Marine, Shimano, Friendly Chevrolet, Holiday Station Stores, Garmin, and Vexilar. Additional support provided by
We're going pretty good. Now it's really slowed down.
I got one.